5,000 people, one floating city, 70 tons of dirty laundry every single day. And here's the kicker. They can't use a drop of fresh water to clean any of it. Sounds impossible, right? Well, buckle up. Because the USS Gerald R. Ford just made laundry more complex than a moon landing. You see, when most people think about aircraft carriers, they picture fighter jets screaming off the deck, missiles locked and loaded, billions of dollars of firepower ready to project American power across the globe. What they don't picture: mountains of sweaty flight suits, grease-stained coveralls, and enough dirty socks to make a grown admiral weep. But here's the thing. On a nuclear-powered supercarrier steaming through the middle of the Pacific, doing laundry isn't just about keeping sailors comfortable. It's about survival, readiness, and one of the most ingenious engineering systems the Navy has ever created. The USS Gerald R. Ford cost $13 billion to build. $13 billion. That's more than the GDP of 64 countries. And yet, when you dig into what makes this floating fortress actually work, you realize that some of the most critical systems on board aren't the fancy electromagnetic catapults or the nuclear reactors. They're the laundry machines. Because here's what nobody tells you about naval warfare in the 21st century. You can have all the missiles and aircraft you want. But if your crew can't shower, can't sleep in clean sheets, and can't wear fresh uniforms, your $13 billion investment becomes a floating biohazard in about a week. So how does it work? How do you wash 70 tons of laundry every day when you're surrounded by an infinite ocean, but can't spare a single gallon of drinking water for a load of whites? The answer is so clever it borders on insane. Let's start with the problem. The Ford has a crew of about 5,000 sailors when fully staffed. Now think about your own laundry situation for a second. One person, maybe 2 loads a week. A family of 4 might generate 6 or 7 loads. Now multiply that chaos by 1,000. Except unlike your home washing machine, these sailors are working in engine rooms where temperatures hit 120 degrees Fahrenheit. They're on flight decks where jet fuel is practically a cologne. They're maintaining equipment covered in hydraulic fluid, grease, and every chemical known to maritime engineering. Their clothes aren't just dirty, they're toxic waste with sleeves. The Ford generates approximately 140,000 pounds of laundry per week. That's 70 tons. Every single day. If you tried to wash that at a normal laundromat, you'd need about 2,300 washing machine loads per day. The quarters would cost more than most people's mortgage. But wait, it gets worse. The Ford can carry millions of gallons of fresh water, produced by onboard desalination systems, that convert seawater into drinking water. Sounds great, right? Problem solved? Not even close. Because that fresh water is liquid gold on a carrier. Every drop is needed for drinking, cooking, medical use, and cooling the nuclear reactors that keep this beast moving. The Navy learned a long time ago that if you start using fresh water for laundry, you're going to have to choose between clean uniforms and working toilets. And trust me, on a ship, you want the toilets working. So the engineers got creative. Really creative. Welcome to the world of seawater laundry systems. Here's where it gets interesting. Most detergents you use at home are designed for fresh water. They work by creating chemical reactions that lift dirt and oils from fabric. But throw those same detergents into seawater and they might as well be decorative. Seawater contains about 35 grams of salt per liter, plus magnesium, calcium, sulfates, and about 80 other dissolved elements that really don't want your clothes to get clean. Normal detergent just curls up and quits. The calcium and magnesium in seawater bind with regular soap molecules and create something chemists call soap scum, but what everyone else calls that disgusting film that makes everything worse. So the Navy had to invent entirely new detergents. Special formulas that can actually function in salt water. These aren't the Tide Pods you grab at Target. These are military-grade chemical compounds designed to break down petroleum products, bodily fluids, food stains, and jet fuel, while suspended in what is essentially a very salty chemical soup. The detergent the Navy uses costs about 3 times what civilian detergent costs, and it's manufactured to specifications that would make a pharmaceutical company jealous. But the chemistry is only half the battle. The machines themselves are completely different from anything in your local laundromat. The Ford has about 30 industrial washing machines and dryers spread across the ship. each one capable of handling massive loads that would destroy a civilian machine in about 15 minutes. These machines are built by companies that specialize in marine industrial laundry systems, and they're engineered to handle the constant motion of a ship, the corrosive nature of salt water, and the absolutely punishing workload of never, ever stopping. Each machine can handle between 125 and 200 pounds of laundry per cycle. That's roughly the equivalent of cramming 15 to 20 household loads into one industrial beast. The machines use high-pressure steam injection, multiple rinse cycles with filtered seawater, and temperatures that would make your home dryer file a restraining order. We're talking 180 to 200 degrees Fahrenheit in some cycles, hot enough to sterilize medical equipment. Because on a carrier, clean doesn't just mean not visibly dirty, it means medically safe. Here's where it gets really wild. The Ford isn't just washing sailor uniforms. Flight deck crews wear different gear than engine room mechanics. Officers have dress uniforms that require different handling than combat fatigues. The galley staff has food service clothing that can't be contaminated with jet fuel residue. The medical staff has scrubs and linens that need hospital-grade sanitation. The ship's laundry operation has to manage all of this with the precision of a logistics company and the speed of a fast food restaurant during lunch rush. Every sailor on the Ford has a laundry number. Not a name, a number. When you send your clothes to the ship's laundry, they get tagged with your number using a marking system that survives industrial washing and drying. This isn't some gentle hand-washing situation. This is full-contact laundry combat. Clothes go into mesh bags marked with the sailor's number, get thrown into machines that spin, heat, and pummel them like they owe money, then come out on the other side somehow still intact and matched to the right person. The logistics alone are staggering. The laundry department on the Ford operates 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. There is no laundry day on a carrier. Every day is laundry day. The sailors who work in the ship's laundry, officially called laundry and textile specialists, are working in what is essentially an industrial sauna that never closes. Temperatures in the laundry spaces regularly exceed 100 degrees. The noise level is somewhere between a rock concert and a jet engine. And unlike bartenders or chefs who get tips and glory, laundry specialists are doing one of the most thankless jobs on the ship while keeping the entire operation running. Think about the choreography required. 5,000 sailors are constantly cycling through uniforms. Flight operations happen around the clock. Someone's coming off a 12-hour shift in an engine room and needs clean clothes. Someone else is suiting up for a night flight and needs their gear. Medical staff is responding to an emergency and needs fresh scrubs. All of this has to be coordinated, tracked, washed, dried, folded, and delivered without losing a single sock. Lose a sock at home and it's annoying. Lose critical gear on a carrier and it could compromise operations. But let's talk about what happens after the washing. You can't just wash clothes in seawater and call it a day. If you washed your clothes in seawater and dried them, you'd end up with garments that could probably be used as industrial-grade sandpaper. The salt crystals would make the fabric so stiff you could stand it up in a corner. Plus, salt corrodes everything it touches. Leave salt in fabric, and it will literally eat through the material over time. So the Ford's laundry system uses multiple rinse cycles with progressively cleaner water. The first rinse is seawater. The second is processed seawater with lower salinity. The final rinse uses a small amount of fresh water, not to wash, but to remove the residual salt from previous cycles. Each one getting you closer to actually clean. The Navy calculated that this staged approach uses about 90% less fresh water than traditional laundry, while still producing results that meet military cleanliness standards. And then there are the dryers. You might think drying is the easy part, but you'd be wrong. The Ford's dryers aren't just bigger versions of what you have at home. They're industrial centrifugal systems that use steam heat and forced air to evaporate moisture at speeds that would make a regular dryer explode. Some of these dryers can fully dry 150 pounds of wet laundry in under 30 minutes. That's faster than most people's Netflix binge for a single episode. But here's the thing that really makes this system remarkable. The energy source. The Ford is nuclear-powered, which means it has access to enormous amounts of energy without burning fuel. The ship's reactors generate electricity which powers the washers and dryers, and produces steam, which heats the water and the dryer systems. In a twisted way, the same technology that could level a city is being used to make sure sailors have clean underwear. It's the most expensive laundry system ever devised, powered by controlled nuclear fission. Your dryer probably just plugs into the wall. The environmental factor is worth noting too. When you wash clothes at home, all that dirty water, detergent, and whatever else was on your clothes goes straight into the sewage system. On a carrier in the middle of the ocean, things are different. The Navy can't just dump 70 tons worth of dirty laundry water into the Pacific every day. Well, technically they could, but environmental regulations and basic respect for ocean ecosystems say otherwise. So the Ford has water treatment systems that process the wastewater from laundry operations before it's discharged. The system filters out lint, detergent residues, and contaminants, treating the water to standards that meet international maritime environmental regulations. Let's talk about what happens when things go wrong. Because on a ship, things always go wrong. A washing machine breaks down. That's not just an inconvenience. That's a crisis. When you're operating with razor-thin margins and your laundry system is already maxed out, losing even one machine means other machines have to work overtime. Breakdowns mean delayed laundry, which means sailors don't have clean uniforms, which means people can't do their jobs properly. The Ford has dedicated maintenance crews whose only job is keeping the laundry equipment operational. They're like pit crews at a NASCAR race, except instead of changing tires in seconds, they're swapping out industrial washing machine bearings while the ship is potentially in combat operations. And speaking of combat, let's address something most people never think about. What happens to the laundry system during battle stations? When the Ford goes to general quarters, the highest alert level, every system on the ship gets prioritized. Flight operations, weapons systems, damage control, medical. Where does laundry fall on that list? Somewhere between not critical, and someone will definitely complain if it stops. The laundry keeps running even during heightened alert status because crew readiness depends on it. A sailor who's been wearing the same uniform for 3 days because laundry stopped isn't going to be at peak performance. There's also the human factor. The sailors working in the ship's laundry aren't just pressing buttons and folding clothes. They're managing an industrial operation while living on a ship that can pitch and roll in rough seas. Ever tried to sort laundry during an earthquake? That's basically what working in a carrier's laundry is like when the seas get rough. Machines that aren't properly secured become incredibly dangerous. Imagine a 300-pound industrial dryer deciding to go for a walk during a storm. The laundry spaces have to be designed with this in mind. Everything bolted down, everything secured, everything designed to keep working, even when the world is literally moving under your feet. The cost of keeping this system running is astronomical. The maintenance, the replacement parts for machines that run 24 hours a day, the energy costs even with nuclear power, the sailors' salaries. The Navy estimates that the laundry operation on a carrier costs several $1 million per year to operate. That's not counting the initial installation costs of the equipment, just the operating expenses for laundry. But here's the thing, it's worth every penny. Because without clean clothes, without functioning hygiene systems, without the ability to maintain basic standards of cleanliness, a carrier becomes a floating petri dish. Diseases spread fast on ships. Morale crashes faster. Operational readiness goes out the window. Compare this to how older carriers handled laundry, and you start to appreciate the Ford system. Older ships had less efficient machines, used more fresh water, had fewer automated systems. Sailors on older carriers often waited longer for clean clothes, had to do more personal laundry by hand, and dealt with systems that broke down more frequently. The Ford's laundry system represents decades of lessons learned, engineering improvements, and the Navy's recognition that seemingly mundane systems like laundry are actually critical to maintaining a functional warship. And let's address the elephant in the room, or rather the aircraft carrier in the ocean. Why does the Navy spend billions on advanced laundry systems when they could just, have sailors do their own laundry? Some ships do have self-service laundry facilities where sailors can wash their own clothes. But on a carrier with 5,000 people, if everyone did their own laundry, you'd need hundreds of machines, massive amounts of space, and you'd have 5,000 people all trying to grab the one available dryer at the same time. It would be chaos. Centralized industrial laundry is the only way to handle the volume while freeing sailors to focus on their actual jobs. The last thing the Navy needs is fighter pilots wasting their off-duty hours fighting over laundry machines like college freshmen. There's something almost poetic about the whole system when you step back and look at it. The Ford is this incredible symbol of American military power. 11 acres of sovereign U.S. territory that can project force anywhere on the planet. Nuclear reactors, electromagnetic catapults, advanced radar systems, the most sophisticated aircraft ever built. And underneath all that technological marvel is a massive, complex system, dedicated entirely to making sure people have clean socks. It's the ultimate reminder that no matter how advanced your weapons are, humans still need clean clothes, hot showers, and the basic dignity of not smelling like they've been marinating in jet fuel for a week. So the next time you see footage of an aircraft carrier launching jets into the sunset, with all the drama and power that represents, remember this. Somewhere below those flight decks, in spaces most people never see, there are sailors managing one of the most complex laundry operations on Earth. They're fighting a never-ending battle against 70 tons of dirty laundry per day, armed with nothing but salt water, specialized detergent, industrial machines, and the kind of determination that keeps a $13 billion warship running smoothly. The Ford's laundry system is a masterclass in engineering, logistics, and the unglamorous reality of military operations. It proves that sometimes the most impressive technology isn't the stuff that explodes, it's the stuff that keeps everything else working. Because at the end of the day, you can have the most advanced carrier in the world. But if your crew is walking around in crusty uniforms, you're going to have problems that no amount of firepower can solve. That's the reality of naval power in the 21st century. It's not just about missiles and aircraft. It's about the 1,000 invisible systems working in perfect coordination to keep 5,000 people alive, healthy, and ready to fight. And one of the most critical of those systems? The one that makes sure everyone has clean underwear. $13 billion. And it still comes down to laundry. Perspective.